President Trump signs a presidential memorandum to declare the opioid crisis a national public health emergency. Jab in bots for The Washington Post. I do my fair share of criticizing Donald Trump, so I have to give him some credit when he gets something right. Thursday's address on the opioid crisis presented the most authentic, genuine and, dare I say, inspiring version of President Trump I have ever seen. That is the Trump the nation needs more of. And at least when it comes to combating the opioid epidemic, maybe that is the Trump we will get. I'm aware, and therefore cautious, that most satisfying moments with Trump end up being like an exploding cigar. So, can the president's coherence and passion for making a difference in the opioid epidemic reach any of the other problems we face? Let's all be hopeful. How Trump works with Congress, advocacy groups and industry stakeholders in the weeks and months ahead to impact opioid addiction will say a lot about his administration's ability to effectively execute on policy. And it was a good thing he launched this initiative when he did, because I, and a lot of people in Washington and elsewhere, had given up on thinking Trump was capable of actually leading. It is good to know that somewhere beneath all the noise and confusion, Trump has it within him to pull something together. I've given up on the idea of Trump making a full pivot, but maybe this will start a trend, maybe. Whereas Trump is mostly inconsistent in his commitment to policy objectives, saying one thing one day and the opposite another, it is clear exactly where his heart and where his head lie in combating addiction. Warning against the dangers of drug and alcohol abuse, Trump spoke passionately about his brother's troubled past and the devastating harm caused by addiction. His message was something of a modern version of First Lady Nancy Reagan's Just Say No campaign, which inspired many to avoid drugs altogether. And just as it was the case during the Reagan years, Trump's impassioned plea in the fight against opioid abuse has the potential to make a difference. With that said, the usual suspects on the left will make their usual criticisms. But the fact is, Trump appears ready to work with Republicans, Democrats, whoever to make progress in this fight. At home, he said his administration will introduce a new policy to overcome a restrictive 1970 SARA rule that prevents states from providing care at treatment facilities for those suffering from drug addiction. And abroad, Trump promised to make discussing the flow of Chinese opioids to the United States a top priority when he meets with Chinese President Xi Jinping in 2 weeks. Again, there will be critics claiming this is insufficient, misguided and without enough money, but at least Washington will be arguing about something serious. Anyway, the success of Trump's effort to combat opioid addiction will not be determined for years to come. However, what he and his administration accomplish in gathering support for this initiative and passing new law to support it will be realized sooner rather than later, probably before the 2018 elections. Neither party is pro-addiction, and there is no point in blaming each other. Republicans and Democrats have supported various plans, yet the problem is only getting worse. And none of it is the fault of the Trump administration. Practically everyone has a friend, a relative, co-worker, a colleague who is, or has been, affected by addiction. If there was ever a problem that lent itself to bipartisan cooperation, this would be it. Trump is still the same person that he was yesterday. He is still going to fire off tweets that hurt himself and others. But at least from what we saw Thursday, he is intent on making a positive impact on one of the nation's most urgent problems. So, say what you will about Donald Trump, but on this issue, he deserves praise and cooperation. At least for now.